whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Happy Friday. I love that this is the second week of our show officially. And thank you everyone for joining us each and every day. As we do to start every single show, we give a big shout out to our exclusive and founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz. He is the guy to call if you have any tax problems. If you have a problem, if you want to know if you qualify for the ERC that Steve talks about all of the time, if you want to know where to get your money, what to do with your money, Steve will explain it to you in a way you can understand. So give him a call at 888-TAX-DEAL. Of course, you can find him at moskowitzllp.com. Also, right now, while I'm thinking of it and while you're thinking about it and hopping on the show, click that thumbs up button because it helps grow the exposure of our show, which is just what we need. We also have the super chat feature in the live chat up and running. This was the first week, and you guys have been so generous. So each and every show, you guys can donate money. You can have a super sticker. It's animated. You can get your comment or question, tagged at the top of the chat. I'll see it. Kim McAllister will be reading some of those chats. And I just really appreciate all of the help that you guys can give. Another shout out to our Patreon supporters. Now, these are people that are donating every single month to help keep the show up and running because it costs money to do the show. Nothing's for free. This is my only job, people, and I enjoy doing it. I love interacting with you. I love that I've been able to keep this going. So all of the links to the show, to the Patreon can be found at NikkiMedoroShow.com. That's NikkiMedoroShow.com. And you could donate any amount. No amount is too small or too big. So yeah, I really do appreciate it. All right. Friday's show, it's big. We're going to bring back movies, and guess who's going to join us? Tim Sika. He was on with Pat Thurston all the time. So Tim Sika will be joining us around 1:35, and we'll talk about what movies you should see in the theaters. Prince Harry is out with a new book. It's called Spare, which is kind of a brutal name for a book because he's the spare. He's not the first line in succession for the king to become king. So Annabelle Timsit, she's a London-based reporter for the Washington Post. Annabelle will be joining us later in the next half hour. And we'll be talking about that book and some of the reaction from across the pond. I do want to let you know about something that's happening tomorrow in Twitter Spaces. Now, you remember Twitter Spaces. Mark Thompson led one right when we all were let go from that other station. And it was great. You guys joined us. Well, we're going to be doing another one. And it's going to be fun. I'm going to be there. Mark Thompson is going to be there. And guess who else? Guess who else is going to be on this Twitter Spaces? None other than my friend, Chip Franklin. Hey, Chip, how are you?
Damn, girl, you look good. You all
right?
dolled up. When you do that, it's like it raises the bar for the rest of us. And,
I'm in a thermal. I just put lipstick on. That's all.
You look good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Always
so
good.
yeah, we're gonna do the Twitter Spaces tomorrow. I put the link on my social media feeds. It's gonna start around 1:00 our time. We've been called icons, Chip. We were called icons.
You guys were called icons. They called me. They just said as the guy. I'm like. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that was nice.
Well, Chip's going to join us. We're going to talk about a bunch of things, including Elon Musk. We're going to talk about Twitter. I want to get into the whole Paul Pelosi attack in San Francisco. But before we get to all of that, Chip, we need to talk to another icon, our tax guy icon. Steve Moskowitz is joining us right now. Steve, Chip Franklin's on with us. We're talking
This feels like old home week when I used to do the show with Chip and you. And in less than an hour from now, Chip and I do our own podcast. So this is a family.
Yeah.
Big circle.
Exactly. All kinds of love. It's like the Brady Bunch right here. So Steve, people are always calling you, asking you all sorts of tax questions. What do you tell people when they say, look, I'm scared that I'm going to have to interact with the government. I feel like I did something wrong. I mean, what is the number one piece of advice you give these people?
Call us and we'll do everything for you. It's like being awake during a surgery. There's nothing you can do to help the surgeon. You're just better off asleep. Surgeon knows what to do. And in almost all cases, we can talk to the government for the person. They don't have to talk to them, deal with them, have anything to do with them. And that's true if they can't pay their taxes or they're being audited or the government has a question. And also one of our favorites, the ERC, where we go ahead and we say, government, we'd like you to write our client a check. And that check, Nikki, can be up to $26,000 for every employee that you have for the 2020-21 time period, if you otherwise qualify. And one of the big things here is the qualification. So there's two ways to look at this. One, you want to avoid the two extremes because there are people giving a lot of bad advice on both extremes. So first, how do we qualify? The law says there's two different ways, either or. There's what I call the easy way and the complex way. The easy way is if your gross revenue dropped by a certain amount. Everybody's doing that. That's easy. It's a number. You either made it or you didn't. But a lot of companies, a lot of CPAs are stopping there and saying, well, okay, if your gross revenue didn't drop by enough, that's it. No ERC for you. Wrong. There's a far more complicated way, but it's a good way to determine if you qualify. It's called full or partial closure or a facts and circumstances test. For example, even an essential business like a food business was subject to a statewide mandate from the beginning of the pandemic until June 15th, 21, that said, if you have a business inside, you can only use 25% capacity. So Safeway, certainly an essential business providing its groceries, could only use their business 25% inside. That means they had a 75% government ordered partial closure. That can qualify you. Supply chain disruptions, that can qualify you. How many people you can put in a space, how many people you can see, a laundry list of stuff. So the bottom line is, if you qualify, by all means, you want to get every penny to which you're legally entitled. On the other hand, there's a lot of fraud going on in this program, just like there was in PPP. And obviously, you do not want to commit a tax fraud. That's clear. But there's a lot of companies that just came into existence just to do this. They have nothing. They just popped into existence, and they're filing these applications. They're saying everybody qualifies. And then they're going to disappear. So when the IRS has a few questions for you, you're not going to be able to find them. We are telling you, avoid both extremes. Obviously, you don't want to do anything fraudulently. And you also don't want to miss out on benefits because it's more difficult to see if you qualify or not. But if you do qualify, we're a law firm, and we've been practicing tax law for over 30 years. We want to help you. And if you don't qualify, we'll tell you why, so you'll know for sure. But if you do qualify, and a lot of people do, we want to see that you get every penny to which you're legally entitled. And I realize people's facts, circumstances, and results can differ. But Nikki, we've gotten some clients, literally one client, individual clients, millions of dollars. And a lot of them, hundreds of thousands, and smaller amounts like 50 and 75,000. Start say, well, wait a minute. Small is 50 and 75,000, because when you start dealing with millions and hundreds of thousands, or even really little amounts, so what? It's free money, and if you're entitled to it, let's get it.
Absolutely. So give Steve Moskowitz a call. You see his number and a website right on the screen right there, 888 tax deal, or moskowitzllp.com. Steve, I always appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, we appreciate it. And Chip, I'll look forward to seeing you in less than an hour.
There you go. There's say bye. All right. Thanks, Steve. All right, there's Steve Moskowitz. Oh, look at you. Now you're going to put on a tie for me? You didn't have to put on a tie.
Well, I'm going to a funeral later. The KGOs.
Stop. We don't say that station's name on here.
I know, Mr. you guys. Well, what is that cute little thing
you were saying? Station X. I knew you were going to talk crap about that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? I'll tell you this, though. I will say this. Okay.
Okay.
And I understand business. I do. I get it. I understand that, we are in difficult times in the communication business, radio, especially. Terrestrial radio is pretty much dead, and that's a lot of reasons why. And some of it's
a lot of competition,
some of it's the market. It's just the way it is.
Right.
All that said, the thing that they replaced it with, first of all, nobody should be able to gamble from a phone. It's a
Yeah.
sickness, it's a disease, and they're promoting it, and that's effed up on a level I can't even begin to. This Prop 27 in our state to allow FanDuel or DraftKings to come in. I know young people that have lost tens of thousands of dollars doing this, and I don't have any problem with going to Vegas, but allowing people to do this on their phone. It's essentially like giving Jack Daniels to 12-year-olds. It really is. And it's dangerous and it's messed up. So,
well, we'll see if those props pass. I know one has to do obviously with the Indian reservations and the other has to do with the online gambling, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Both of the propositions though aren't doing well. So I don't think either of them are going to make it. Okay.
You want to bet? Sorry.
You don't bet. Somebody put in the comments every time they buy a Powerball ticket, they think of you.
Well, they should. I think of you too. It's just like, you're living under a bridge, but hey, I could win the big one, so.
Exactly. All right, let's get into Twitter. Oh, and let's welcome Kim McAllister to the whole entire show. Good morning, Kim McAllister.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Yeah, we're doing good.
What's wrong with your face?
It looks gorgeous, doesn't she? She doesn't have a camera yet. We got to get her a camera.
Rude.
Yeah, we have to get her a camera, and then we'll have her face right up there. But, and I know that Mark Thompson had talked about this on his show, but the big news, obviously, is Elon Musk officially buying Twitter. Now, I can't imagine losing my job. Like he said, 75% of people are going to be laid off. But I want to show you, these were the pictures from this morning. This is one guy, has a box, all the press is there, getting fired. This is another guy walking out with a box. I think this is the one that had told reporters, I'm going to spend some more time with my family. Now, I understand the 75%. We were just talking about Station X, getting rid of the fat or, downsizing or whatever. But when you're getting rid of the CEO, Chip, when you're getting rid of the person who permanently booted former President Trump from Twitter, what do you see happening to the social media platform?
I don't think anybody knows. It's interesting. So I've spent the last couple of years to get my following up to like 340,000 people. And I like it. I mean, it's not, I don't use it. I mean, it's funny. I know a lot of people that have made a lot of money using Patreon on that as well, and I think it's interesting to see it's a format. I'm surrounded by friends, some bots, some enemies. I get email every day calling me all sorts of, things. And
well, that's nothing new.
I'm going to thank you for those emails. But it's interesting. I think one of the things that's going to happen is that Musk is going to see a revolt between advertisers and others if he allows these other people on there. I personally don't have a problem with having them on there. And this is kind of the Republican that's still left in me from, as a kid. People got to be able to make their own decisions, to be able to see who is what. I mean, if you listen to Hannity or Tucker Carlson and you can't see just how screwed up their messaging is, then, I don't know if we can protect you. But Twitter is kind of like the Wild Wild West. It's always been that way. And right.
Well, I mean, but I'm okay. So there are some tweets that have come out since Elon Musk officially bought it, and they're using the N-word, and they're, Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying freedom of speech because she's a moron, as if Twitter, a private company, has anything to do with our constitutional right to free speech. But is it going to be able to moderate when you're getting rid of so many people? And I think that's the concern that advertisers have. I would not want to be an advertiser and see my company's business up against a tweet that has the N-word all over it.
Well, you're not going to see Toys R Us on there. It's going to, they're, the people that advertise on there are used to, playing hardball. And that's what this is. It's hardball. I mean, and look, if Musk F's it up, the market will work. I hate to sound like Adam Smith, but the invisible hand will come in here and fix it. I don't think, I was glad to see Trump off it and to see him emasculate it a little bit. Yeah, I guess. But I mean, also, he's incapable of not just blurting anything. He has diarrhea of the mouth 24/7. And, it's nice to know what your enemies have to say. And these are people that are enemies to the Constitution and, the freedom of this country. So taking them off, that's a business decision. I don't think it should ever be anything but a business decision, whether or not you let these people on there. If somebody wants to use the N-word is not against the law to say. And I can block those people, True. I mean, I understand the reaction, and on Twitter it's freak out. But, put it in perspective. 10 years ago, Twitter didn't really exist in this manner or form, and 10 years from now, it probably won't still be there. There'll be something else. So,
well, I just feel like I'm going to stay on the platform for right now. I see so many people announcing their departure and then staying. I'm going to be leaving, and then they're still there. So I think everyone's kind of taking this wait and see. But the idea that, Elon Musk wants to take it over. He tweeted out, I freed the bird, or the bird is free, or something like that, related to the Twitter picture. It's not as if moderation is a violation of your free speech, but it seems that the Republican Party specifically has captured this talking point that anytime they're being moderated, or I guess censored, i.e. being taken off a platform for what they say, that it's a violation of their free speech. And it's not. It's absolutely not.
But I mean, you go down that rabbit hole, and how far do you want to go? I mean, what do you want? I mean, I know that there's a case coming up before the Supreme Court about satire and parody. Do we want to go down there that I can't say? I would like Putin to be on there. Hell, put Xi from China. I'm serious.
Yeah, but it's what it does to people, though. We have a mental illness problem in this country, and it has been, it's been fed the nonsense and the misinformation that, it's seeping down. I was just reading an article about local school board meetings, and this woman's walking around spreading some nonsense, and these are the people. This is supposed to be a nonpartisan, school board, nonpartisan. My ass, it's not partisan.
Why don't we get our messaging better? Why don't we do?
Thank you.
Right. So that's the problem with censoring, bad stuff and lies and untruths, is all people remember is that you censored it. Pick something out. Pick something like COVID. I can't tell me. I had a neighbor who was a physician, right? Have I told you this story?
I don't know. Tell me again.
When he got pissed at me because it's a dog. All the people gather with their dogs. And this guy is a physician. And back in March of 2020, he was telling me, I'm a physician and I know COVID's not going to be a big deal. And, of course he was wrong. And then now he's there, and a friend of mine was there, and she says, I'm going to stop drinking. And he said something, well, people that drink more live longer. And I'm like, what are you, high? You can't just say that. And so we went down this rabbit hole, and he's like, Fauci lied, and he's a physician, right? So I lost it. I was like, don't go put your clown trumpet outfit on and get the F out of here, right? So so I went back and I apologized. I said it was inappropriate for me to say it here. I just said it one-on-one, but I still believe every word I said. and we find ourselves now, there's a way to do this, and that's the challenge. The challenge is in the messaging. How do you confront somebody yet still leave the door open for a conversation?
On that note, today is the 5-year anniversary of something, and I'm going to show you what it is. And it was the 5-year anniversary of this happening. Remember her?
Yeah.
Julie Brinksman. All right. Briskman, pardon me. She's actually running. Yeah, she lost her job 5 years ago. This picture went viral. She's flipping off Trump, right? She's running for a supervisor in Virginia, in one of the towns out there.
Right,
but again,
on, sister, and look at her go.
Right? Exactly. Now, the Republicans had their panties in a bunch over this, right? But they are so quick to say freedom of speech. I should be able to say what I want, blah, blah, blah. It's so hypocritical, but that's what their party is. It absolutely is. I should be able to flip off my president. I should. I guess there's consequences for actions, and that's what Julie Briskman got. But they use that picture as an example of the crazy libs.
With Cumulus, I called Devin Nunes an F knuckle in a post on Twitter, and it got back to Atlanta. And then they, and essentially the Mary Berner, who was she's a liberal, basically said, I thought it was funny, but you can't say that, and when you represent us, and I said, well, and I got some of that too from our old PD and others, I think that there's a balance, obviously the private businesses, they have a right to protect their brand, and if I'm working for them, they can say, one of the nice things, whenever I get to do one of these things is I'm asking myself, do I really want to have sponsors? So I don't, I don't want a boss anymore. I want to be able to come out and say, but there's always a boss. There's the people you're talking to, right?
Exactly. If you
The
get
other
them
people that I
angry.
work with, so there's always these considerations that play out. And, you and I know this. We've had many, many conversations off air about things to talk about and how, it was it was the best time I've had in 27 years of broadcasting, the 3 years or 4 years, 5 years, however long we were on together. It seemed like 50, but you get my point. But it's fun. And you would get really angry. When we would have stuff in there, you
the fights we had when the mics were not on were
we never really had a fight.
But debates, the debates that we would have. Absolutely. Now, when we talk about political discourse, before I have to let you go, because you're a very busy man, I need to get into the Paul Pelosi attack. Now, this guy walks in to Nancy Pelosi and Paul Pelosi's house in San Francisco, Pacific Heights, I think they live in, with a hammer. And where's Nancy? Where's Nancy? Which has echoes of January 6th. Didn't somebody say it on January 6th?
I haven't heard that part. He actually was saying, "Where's Nancy?"
Oh yeah, where's Nancy?
Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy? That's what we hear. And of course, Kim's will be following it in her news as well. But the press conference they had this morning didn't give too many details. But sources, the Washington Post and others, saying he walked in yelling for "Where's Nancy?" And it appears so. Paul Pelosi had a hammer. This guy, DePepe, had a hammer, and then he took Paul Pelosi's and started beating with him in front of the cops. This is where we are as a country, and that's frightening when you think about the people. All the way back to Gabby Giffords getting shot, Steve Scalise, right? And then I heard about this morning, Camila Jayapal. She had to call the cops because there was someone outside her house with a gun, and they don't get any security. So are we able to disagree when on Twitter, on Facebook, on social media, when these things are happening in real life? That's the problem, I think, when you don't have good moderation.
You can't cure crazy.
It's more than crazy, though. People are emboldened.
No, that's obviously, but those are mentally ill people that show up in front of your house. Somebody took a picture of my front door and sent it me on a Hotmail, like I know where you live. And I'm like, whatever, dude. What are you going to, look, 99% of the people that make these threats, 99 and 9/10, never follow through. It's the quiet people, the crazy people. They're the ones that show up. So the rhetoric out there, does it influence people? Of course it does. And it always has, and now look, this thing's 20 years old and we still don't know how to control it. And maybe we probably never will. If we try to control it, we'll actually probably hurt ourselves even more. This is the nature of the First Amendment. The First Amendment allows you to criticize the government without fear of retribution. It has nothing to do with, Twitter or YouTube or anything else. All those are those parent companies, regardless of, and the Democrats are the ones, to be honest with you, that were trying to, Elizabeth Warren was talking about getting in and breaking up Facebook. Well, we didn't have to. Facebook's stock has fallen down the crapper, right? And so the market itself can figure it out sometimes. Twitter will be fixed. The question is, moving forward, what will be the casualties? Who will be the casualties, or what will be the casualty of, allowing it to be as volatile as it's going to probably be with these characters come back on? I don't know. I don't think there's an answer there, other than to get off if you want, or advertisers. We can always go to advertisers. They respond,
Well, and I think Elon Musk is going to be bringing some more advertising in. He was talking when he was, I think, earlier this week, talking about advertising can be content if you're interested in it. And I agree to an extent with that. Are people going to want to pay for Twitter? I doubt that. Jack Dorsey has what's it called? Blue Sky. He's trying to launch another social media thing to compete with Twitter. I don't know how many people are going to want to hop on that. I don't think it's going to go away. Maybe the market will be able to control it. Maybe it'll just turn into a cesspool and people will just be done with it. I don't know, but I'm cautiously staying on. That's what I'm going to do.
As an aging porn star, I believe that the future is bright. And I do. I think that there's, I think having all these levels of communication and different ways to whether it's Instagram or TikTok or whatever, having all these areas. I mean, I love TikTok. That's my new Facebook.
Oh, I gotta find you on TikTok.
Oh, I do great on TikTok. I do better sometimes on TikTok. I had a video on TikTok the other day. Got like about 90,000 views. It was exciting.
Wow.
What is
Okay, now
what is
people.
Super Chat?
Super chat is where people can donate while we're in the live chat while the show is going on,
You have
and
to
even
say
afterwards.
super, like you say, go super chat.
Super chat. It's like Superfly.
I
Now,
when I watch talking head shows and they say super, I'm super excited. I'm like, dude, come on, man.
it's
You're
just a
on
word,
TV.
man.
No,
All right.
but come on.
You always choose the weirdest things to be upset about. It's so funny. Tell people about your podcast. What do you have going on? They want to find you.
I'm going to
find him on TikTok, apparently.
I'm going to do something. Yeah, you can find me go to chipfranklin.com or go on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at Chip Franklin and join the S Storm. Do you curse on this thing or you try not to?
I try not to. You know my mouth. If I start once.
Oh, yeah, you bet. Are you kidding? She makes me look like a nun. Let me tell you.
Like, there are some things I'm like, just don't do, because once you start, you just can't stop.
Do you ever curse an open mic?
I don't think so.
I think F-bomb once. Karen caught it, and I think I said I let the S word slip once too.
I don't know. I mean, there's like some words like pissed off, whatever. I don't care about stuff like that. But all right, well, I'm gonna have you back on the show regularly so people can find your beautiful aging porn star face right here. All right, Chip Franklin.
Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
There we go. Look at
my mom, baby, somehow. I don't Maria. All right, just go out. We can go out like this.
All right, there we go. He's always, producing the show. Hi, Chip. We love you. All right, that's Chip Franklin. Find him, chipfranklin.com or Twitter at Chip Franklin. And he's awesome. So, I don't know about people staying on Twitter, Kim. I know you're not that much on it.
No, but
you don't tweet a lot. But
I find it
right?
I find it valuable for news stories and certain things that, like I've mentioned to you, that all the police agencies and emergency responder agencies are there, and the first thing they do when something happens, usually, and they're instead of responding to all the media calls like they used to, they throw out a tweet. Yes, we are at the scene of a
whatever.
Blank. Right. Yeah. And so it's helpful in that regard. So I think that still has there's a use for that. And I don't see that part of it going away. But as far as going on there for commentary and things like that, I don't use it for that.
Well, I'm just going to show one quick thing because this is what I think people are afraid of. Okay. And it's simply the fact that if you have no control, it's just going to be filled with stuff like this. Right? Elon now controls Twitter, unleashed the racial slurs, the K word, the N word. Now these are trolls that do stuff like this, right? I mean, that's what we're really talking about. But I don't want to spend a lot of my time there because it does enter your brain. And so I don't know. Again, I'm cautiously staying on it because of everything that you mentioned, Kim. The news, the interaction with politicians, law enforcement, and what have you. And of course, I know a lot of people only through Twitter that listen to the show or watch this show, and I like that interaction. So we'll see what happens. Okay, we're going to do a quick news break with Kim. Then coming up in about 10 minutes or so, we are going to go live to London. We are going to be speaking with Annabelle Timsit. She's a London-based reporter for the Washington Post. Prince Harry is out with a new book. It's called Spare. And so we're going to see what those across the pond are thinking about that new book, because I can only imagine the secrets old Harry is giving out, since he, of course, is the spare. But first, let's take a look at some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. The man accused of attacking the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi with a hammer is facing an attempted homicide charge, among other things. He is 42-year-old David DePape of Berkeley. San Francisco police say officers quickly arrested him after arriving at the speaker's home in Pacific Heights early this morning. San Francisco police praising officers for their quick response, and speaking to reporters, Chief Bill Scott described their actions as swift. An emergency dispatcher also praised publicly by Scott. The motive remains unclear, and Speaker Pelosi's office says she was in Washington, D.C. at the time of that attack. Her husband, 82-year-old Paul Pelosi, had to have some surgery to relieve swelling this morning on his head, his brain, and so he is expected to make a full recovery. But of course, you don't bounce back as quickly when you're an older fellow like that, 82 years old. So our thoughts are with him and hope that everything goes well during that surgery at Zuckerberg General Hospital. At least 6 people injured after being shot outside of a funeral in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Police say it happened right outside the Destiny of Faith Church this morning. A funeral was underway at the time of the shooting. 1 person in critical condition. The other 5 are in stable condition. Rock and roll pioneer Jerry Lee Lewis, dead at the age of 87. His death confirmed today on his website. Lewis, perhaps best known for his song, Great Balls of Fire. He's also famous for other classic hits like Whole Lot of Shaking Going On and Chantilly Lace and a Pretty Face.
Yeah, I mean,
Good golly, Miss Molly.
TMZ actually had his death. I think they prematurely announced it. I think it was yesterday. They always do that. Like they know, but they can't announce it yet. Jerry Lee Lewis, that's it's an interesting thing. Obviously, talented musician. His story is quite controversial, of course. So lived a very, very long life though. But
he did. We were talking earlier on Mark's show about how he married his 13-year-old cousin.
Yeah, no, you didn't see the movie? You didn't see the movie? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
with Winona Ryder was played his cousin. I mean, it's just it's one of those things we were talking about canceling people. Like, can you separate the art from the artist? That's a prime example of all right, Great Balls of Fire, great song. He was screwing his cousin. Very awkward to be okay with both of those things. But all right,
his cousin that was a little girl at the time.
Like she was like 13.
Gross. I mean, I both have 13-year-old daughters, so.
Well, I think and people are like, oh, it's a different time, and it's where no, not okay, not okay.
No, you don't get a pass for the decade in which the infraction occurred.
It's just a little child abuse. It's okay. Just touch. Just okay.
Child abuse in the 50s is okay. Now it's no.
Yeah, all right. Cancel culture, Kim.
Kind of crazy talking. Yahoo. Okay, so former President Obama hitting the campaign trail starting in Georgia today. Obama rallying Democrats as Georgia's closely watched races for governor and U.S. Senate make the news. Former President Obama then set to head to Michigan and Wisconsin over the weekend. There's a new poll showing more Americans believe crime is getting worse just ahead of the midterm election. The Gallup survey finding 56% reported an increase in crime in their area. Meantime, 78% say there's now more crime across the country. And Twitter's new owner, as Nikki was mentioning, says there will be no account reinstatements to social media right now. Elon Musk tweeting a content moderation council will be formed to evaluate the Twitter platform. He says it will include widely diverse viewpoints. Several prominent figures are banned from Twitter over controversial remarks. That includes former President Trump, of course. Now, Musk says no major content decisions will be made until that content moderation council can meet.
Well, that's interesting because I saw on Twitter again that former President Trump on his stupid Truth Social thing that's not working. That's why he has to announce things on Twitter. That he plans to be back by Monday. So we'll see. That's what he says.
That's a good plan. But Elon Musk says you have to go through the council first.
And then what's his council going to be? Is it a both sides sort of thing? It just seems have rules. And then if you break the rules, it needs to be clear. It just needs to be clear.
He says the council will include widely diverse viewpoints.
So racist and non-racist, I don't know what that means.
I don't
what does
know
that
how
mean?
I don't even,
Whatever.
The Powerball. Let's just talk about it for a hot minute. Walking $825 million.
I'll get you a camera, Kim McAllister.
That's right. Tomorrow night's Powerball drawing. The cash value of this huge jackpot is now $410 million. And of course, I have 888 tax deal pre-programmed on my phone so I can call Steve Moskowitz the moment I win.
There you go. There you go. Me
And
too.
as mentioned earlier, the Golden State Warriors are the NBA's most valuable team. I think it's worth noting again, Forbes says the franchise is worth $7 billion. They're followed in the top 5 of most valuable NBA teams by the New York Knicks, LA Lakers, Chicago Bulls, and the Boston Celtics. And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can reach him on the web at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Yes. Thank you, Kim McAllister. Yeah. So coming up in just a moment, we will be speaking with a Washington Post reporter regarding that book that Prince Harry has come out with. It's called Spare. And what I find interesting is one, the title of the book, right? Just this idea of you're not, first in line in succession. So you're kind of like the spare kid, and how sad that must make him feel. And of course, what is the reaction to this? Do I have more than one? I feel like I have one friend who's from the UK. And I remember when, Harry was kind of giving up the title and the whole, the marriage with Meghan and all the allegations that were coming out. She was quite upset about it. I was making jokes because, again, I'm an American, and she was pretty upset about it. And so I'm really very curious to see what the reaction is to Harry's book. And so right now we need to welcome Annabelle Timsit, a London-based reporter for the Washington Post, who is covering the reaction to Prince Harry's new book called Spare. Annabelle, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hi, Nikki. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so I'm going to show off a little bit of this picture of the new book. Now, again, Prince Harry, he's kind of had a controversial last couple of years, I would say. There's the book. It's just his face. Kind of a good picture of Prince Harry, but it's called Spare.
He's a good-looking guy. I love the red hair.
He is. Now, Annabelle, everything from, him serving in the military to obviously his marriage to Meghan Markle, he seems to kind of shun, I guess, the norms because and answer this, I don't know if this is true, because he doesn't have to. What kind of era, I guess, are we living in with Prince Harry as far as falling in line or not falling in line with the royal norms?
Well, I think to your point, I will touch on the title of the book, which I think has attracted the most discussion and controversy on social media here in the UK, which is Spare. And what that title really says and alludes to is Harry's position in the royal order of succession, right? Harry is the younger brother of William, who was always expected to be now King Charles III's heir, and the king to follow after him. And so it's like a spare part, right? With all of the baggage that comes with that, but also in a way, perhaps with a little bit more freedom to do things in unconventional ways and to marry in a different way, and perhaps with a different frame of mind than what his older brother William can afford himself.
What have we heard about what's inside this book? Because I'm assuming the royal family may be a bit worried that he's going to tell more than he told Oprah Winfrey during that interview.
I think a bit is definitely an understatement. They are extremely, extremely concerned. And when Penguin Random House, the publisher of the book, announced the publishing date yesterday, the first thing I did, obviously, is call up Buckingham Palace to ask them for a statement. And their immediate response to both the Washington Post and every other outlet out there that did the same as me was, "We will not be commenting." They are staying very quiet. And I think, like everyone else, sort of gritting their teeth and waiting until January 10th to see what's in there. Obviously, there's been a lot of speculation, and people in the publishing industry have spoken to some outlets to say, he's maybe had some cold feet compared to what this book was initially conceived as, maybe walked some things back in there. We don't know to what extent that's actually true or not. So far, nobody really knows what's inside the book, but for sure the palace is worried.
Yeah, and obviously with the passing of the Queen, and we do understand that the Queen and Prince Harry were close. I mean, they're family. I'm wondering, and obviously I don't know if you know something like this, were there late edits given the fact that either because she had passed away or out of respect for the Queen?
That's very much the speculation right now, that essentially in the wake of the Queen's death, which as we know, so the book was initially set to come out in late 2022. And people were expecting that it would come out actually right around now, ahead of the holiday season, in time for people to, rush to the bookstore, buy it, and put it in people's stockings for Christmas. And so that publication date was pushed back in the wake of the Queen's death. And at her funeral, Harry and Meghan both were present. They sort of projected a united front with the rest of the family. There was a lot of speculation while they were here in London about a possible thawing of relations. Family deaths, like at the end of the day, they are just a family, and family deaths can do that. They can bring people closer. So there was definitely a lot of speculation that in the wake of her death, he would have reconsidered some of the things that he had put in the book. But really nobody knows until a copy leaks, which I'm sure will eventually happen. We don't know.
Yeah. I can imagine that, there's going to be some pushback, possibly blaming Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, for whatever in this book, because a lot of people point to her, at least that's what I'm hearing on this side, pointing to her for kind of being the downfall of Prince Harry. Is that kind of the attitude you're hearing from people over there?
Well, so I don't want to minimize that. There's definitely been some of that for sure. In regards to this book specifically, because it is a memoir, most of what I'm hearing at the moment when it comes to criticism is largely directed at Harry. I
Okay.
think that there's this sort of criticism that you hear often, especially in British tabloids, and we all know they have a fraught relationship with Meghan and Harry both. That's manifested in like various lawsuits and all of that. But there is this sort of idea here in the UK that, oh, well, fine, they left the royal family, but why do they have to now, go and spill all the
Right.
family secrets?
Secrets. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So there is that sort of, and that's this is my own opinion, of course, but tied in also with this sort of idea of British discretion, of the royal family motto of you don't complain, you don't explain.
Right.
And so yeah, so far, just to answer your question, a lot of the criticism I'm hearing for this book specifically is tied to, why is Harry doing this? Harry should know better. He's a member of this family. Why is he essentially doing this?
Does he need money? I don't know if he's rich. I don't know. I mean, I know that, he had the thing with Netflix, or then we have this book, but does he need money?
Well, I mean, I obviously I don't know the state of their finances, but what I will say is, obviously since they've moved out to California, they've both, signed pretty lucrative deals with players like Spotify and Netflix. Meghan has a podcast that has been, regularly churning out episodes with famous people about deconstructing archetypes. And so I don't think I think they definitely have, projects that are in the works that are very valuable. But of course, like, the advance for this book has been reported to be, somewhere in the range of $20 million. And that
See,
is,
that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's why I was
yeah.
asking. I'm like, does he need the money? And that's why you need to share the family secrets, because
It's not chump
you,
change.
no, it's not.
That
I
is
mean,
not. No, it's a lot of money. That's for sure.
exactly.
But to your point, like, I think it's also, independently of this advance, like, it's all an ecosystem, right? So if the book is successful, it feeds into the other projects that they have. Obviously, it generates buzz, and then people want to watch the show, listen to the podcast, all of it. So, it's not like we can ignore the monetary implications here. However, do I think that he's doing this because he wants
He
to
has
put
bills
food
to
on the table?
pay.
No, I don't think so.
Annabelle,
Well,
can I ask a quick question,
yeah,
Nikki?
go ahead.
When you guys were talking about the name of the book, The Spare, from The Heir and the Spare, kind of, it made me
Yeah.
think of Queen Elizabeth, and that her father was the spare, right? Her uncle was king and then married a woman, an American divorcee, and abdicated the throne while I think Wallace Simpson was named. And so it was the spare Queen Elizabeth's dad that ended up taking the throne. And it made me just think about, well, what would happen if Prince William and his kids were somehow in just, in some horrible thing happened to them. And then it would go to Prince Harry and his kids. Well, he's out. He doesn't want any part of it, right? So who's next? That's the Duke of York. That's Prince Andrew was next.
Oh.
And
there would have to be...
He's got controversy, so then it would be Princess Beatrice. It's just interesting to see. Okay, well, what
you know all the lines. Wow, Kim McAllister.
Well, I was looking it up while you were talking, so
okay,
Google it.
There would have to be some pretty catastrophic events to happen, I think, for it to skip that far down the line. Because William and Kate do have 3 kids, so it's a lot of it would have to be
tragedy.
My mind goes to the ugly place. Like if they were all on a plane together, and then I know I'm the worst.
Yeah, you are the worst. But is it easier? And again, if you're just joining us, Annabelle Timsit is live in London talking about Prince Harry's book called Spare. Is it easier? And I know this is just purely your opinion, of course. Is it easier to be William or Harry?
Interesting question. Well, I think at this exact moment, it's pretty difficult to be Harry, to be honest, because he's got to be dealing with so much pressure, not just externally applied, but I imagine internal as well on what he's deciding to do. And, the allegations that he and his wife, Meghan, levied against the royal family in that Oprah interview, they're pretty serious, and they generated a lot of really big questions, including, of course, the number one: who was it in the royal family who allegedly made those comments about their son Archie? So he's got to be feeling a pretty heavy burden at the moment on whether or not to reveal things like that in that book. And January 10th is around the corner, so I do not envy him. So at this exact moment, I'd have to say Harry.
All right. Annabelle Timsit, London-based reporter for The Washington Post, talking about Prince Harry's book, Spare, out in January. Annabelle, I really appreciate you making time for us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Be well. Yeah. I mean, I asked that last question because I feel like there's so much pressure, Kim, to be obviously after Charles, to be next in line to be king. And there has to be a freedom to be Harry, right? Like, I am so far down the line. Nobody cares that much about what I do, but they do care. And this book, whatever's in it, is going to be read and reread and scrutinized. And I think he's going to be up a creek with the royal family pretty quickly once that book comes out. A lot of you don't like Harry. Where was it? Here we go.
I think he's cool.
Marilyn Blondie wrote in, he was born into royalty. Some children are abandoned and go into care. I find it disgusting. He's complaining. I think that's a very honest, really your life is that tough. But, Marilyn, I don't know, if you're from the UK or have any experience. I feel like it's a very American attitude, right? It's like, come on, suck it up. Sorry, you were born into a royal family in a castle, right? But at the same time, I don't think we have any comprehension of the weight of all of that, to be scrutinized and have everybody look at you. It's kind of like you're the biggest celebrity there could be. Greg, William needs to be the new king. The world does not care about Charles and Camilla. I know Kim McAllister agrees with you. She does not like Camilla.
No.
Mo Direct. Stewardship of the rights bestowed upon all people must be maintained. Surrender to jurisdiction and obey all laws to see injustice. And Nick, Camilla, the side chick. Yes, but the longtime side chick. I mean, The Crown. I was reading an article about The Crown, and I know, Kim, you watched that show.
Love it.
Are they filming right now Princess Diana's death? And I think they came out that they're not going to reenact the crash because a lot of people were saying that it was not in good taste to do something like that, even though it's a TV show. But a lot of people aren't saying it. Oh, Marilyn is from the UK. We're struggling with the cost of living crisis at the moment. Oh, well, thank you, Marilyn. That's interesting. Well, now I just want to know even more. So let's go back to Marilyn for a second here. So you're from the UK and you don't like Harry. Charles isn't my king. Okay. It's kind of like Trump's not my president. Is that kind of like the kind of attitude that you're having? I mean, Charles is the king. You can't say he's not.
No,
He
but
was not going to give it up, though.
I was hoping he would. I was hoping he would just go, you know
He has
what?
been waiting for this day
Okay, listen.
forever.
I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. He's older now. He's not
No,
going
he
to have a
wanted
long
it.
reign because his mom lived for forever. And so, why not just give it to your son? Let your son have a long reign. Let your son do it all. Why
Oh,
don't you?
no.
Because people don't like you and your whoring wife anyway. So just go ahead and give it to William and Kate and be done with it.
Look at Kim McAllister with a little bit of hate for Camilla. That is awesome. Well, we'll see what happens. Again, Prince Harry's book comes out in January with all the royal secrets. Also, to let you know, while I'm thinking of it, click that like button. It's right under the screen on our YouTube channel. Just click the thumbs up once. It really helps the show. If you want, you can donate to our super chat. It's live in the live chat. You just see that $sign. Sometimes it's in a heart. Sometimes it's in a rectangle. And so you can get your chat read, pinned to the top of the live chat stream. And we appreciate all the help that we can get. And it just keeps the show going. And another reason why we could put this show on every single day, Monday through Friday, is because of our friend, tax attorney, Steve Moskowitz. Steve, again, thank you so much for being our exclusive founding sponsor. And what you give to people in your tax advice is invaluable. Starting with like the ERC and getting people the money they qualify for.
Well, thank you, Nikki. It's my pleasure and honor to be on your show. And ERC is so great because the government is giving away money. They're literally giving away money. And they're giving employers up to $26,000 for every employee you had in 20 and 21 if you qualify. There's two different ways to qualify. The law says either or. The first method is really easy. It's a mathematical calculation, a certain drop in your gross revenue. You either hit it or you didn't. There's nothing to think about. 1 + 1 is 2. There's no further discussion needed. But a lot of firms, a lot of CPAs are stopping there because that's the easy way. There's a much more complicated way. It's a facts and circumstances test called full or partial closure. Here's an example. Take even an essential business like Safeway. Every business in the state of California was ordered from the beginning of the pandemic until June 15th, 2021, to only use a maximum of 25% capacity of the inside of their business. That means that Safeway had a government-ordered partial closure of 75% of their store. That may qualify you. Supply chain disruptions may qualify you. The spacing for your employees in a certain physical space may qualify. There's a whole host of things. We actually take the time and the trouble. We sit down with the client, we talk to them, and we'll tell you one of two things. Either I'm sorry you don't qualify, and the reason you don't qualify is because of X, but we'll let you know why. But if you do qualify, and Nikki, although certainly not everybody qualifies, a lot of people do. If you do qualify, then let's get every penny to which you're legally entitled. And the amounts are all over the map. We have some clients literally getting millions, lots of others getting hundreds of thousands, some people smaller amounts. Everybody's facts, circumstance, and results differ, but we work with you to get the max. On the other hand, beware of the fraudsters. And the IRS is right now investigating a lot of them who just say everybody qualifies, they make something up. Obviously, you do not want to commit tax fraud, and you don't want to commit tax fraud because you didn't know what you're doing with some company. And there's a lot of companies that have just popped up to do these. These companies have just come into existence to do ERC, and then they're going to disappear. So when the IRS has a few questions for you, they're nowhere to be found. We're a law firm. We've practiced tax law for over 30 years. We're here for you. Let's keep away from both extremes. Nobody wants a tax fraud, of course. But nobody wants to leave money on the table that they're entitled to because it's more difficult to figure it out. We'll work on that for you. And if you qualify, let's get all this money, which in a lot of cases could be substantial.
Absolutely. You don't want to call a company that said, yeah, you qualify for the ERC, and then it's a busy signal or disconnected phone line. Steve will pick up the phone, answer your call because he's been doing it for decades and he knows what he's talking about. So give him a call. 888 tax deal or at moskowitzllp.com. Steve, I always appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Nikki. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah, it's very important to give Steve Moskowitz a call. Where was it? I love this this message that we got when we were talking about Prince Harry's book. There are many people that love the royals. My wife is one of them. I don't get it. I don't get it either, Nick. I am not one of those. I don't even find it entertaining. I watched a couple of episodes of The Crown. It was okay. I dropped
So
out.
good.
I
Yeah, no,
know.
see,
I
you
should
have
get into it, I guess.
it's like I find myself every time I'm watching The Crown, then I'm Googling afterward, did that really happen? I swear to God, every episode, I had no idea. So good.
Oh, I love it.
Telling
And yeah, when you
you.
were wrapping off with Annabelle Timsit with the Washington Post, I thought that was all off the top of your head. I'm like, wow, Kim, you know your royal history right now.
Right, right.
Line of
I
succession.
I probably know a lot of royal history because I like those historical drama shows. You know,
Yeah.
like
See, I don't like
the
that.
Spanish Princess, the White Queen, all of those, all
You're
those
not
shows.
speaking my language.
So good.
You know me, I'm the horror movie woman.
Yeah.
And on that note, let me just say on that note, on Monday, Halloween, we're going to have somebody also from the Washington Post talking about why people like scary movies and haunted houses so much. So that's going to be our Halloween show that's coming up on Monday. In about a half an hour or so, a little bit more than that, Tim Sika is going to join us to talk about movies. And while I'm thinking about it, again, hit that thumbs up button, share the show, subscribe, share with your friends. The super chat feature, if you can donate a couple of dollars during the show, we'll pin your message to the top of the chat. Kim will read it, I will read it, and we really, really appreciate every single dollar that you guys give. And a link to all of our YouTube shows and our Patreon can be found on our website, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Also, after the news with Kim McAllister, we have to get into how correct I was about Tom Brady and Giselle getting a divorce. Everyone saw this coming. I wasn't alone in thinking about this, but I want to have the debate. Do you think that they wanted to work it out and then this was the straw that broke the camel's back because he said he was going to retire to spend more time with family? So do you think that there was all this problem beforehand, or do you think simply because he would not retire that is the sole reason they got divorced? Because now that I'm reading more and more into it, I don't think so. And of course, Tom Brady hasn't been doing too well on the field, and I'm just wondering if Giselle was a bit of his mojo, and now that's gone. We'll also talk about the Great Resignation that led to big raises, but now big worries. And again, we'll talk movies with Tim Sika coming up after the bottom of the hour news. But right now, we do need to get some news headlines with the one and the only Kim McAllister.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi now heading to San Francisco after her husband was attacked at their home in Pacific Heights in San Francisco. A family member saying Paul Pelosi's still in surgery right now. The man accused of attacking the speaker's husband with a hammer this morning is facing an attempted homicide charge. Governor Gavin Newsom is calling the attack on Mr. Pelosi a heinous assault that is the result, he said, of divisive and hateful rhetoric. He says leaders should never fear for their safety and the safety of their families in serving the people that they were elected to represent. But Virginia's governor is taking heat for a comment he made about the assault of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband. Speaking at a rally, Republican Glenn Youngkin of Virginia saying there is no room for violence anywhere, but he said we are going to send him back to be with him in California. Virginia Democrat Donald McKeegan reacting to Youngkin's comment, saying it was beneath the dignity of his office. He says the governor's remark is disgusting, vile, and crass. So
what did he say again?
There is no room for violence anywhere.
Okay.
But we are going to send her back to be with him in California.
What the hell? See, that's bad juju. See, when you do stuff like that, like just don't even invite stuff like that into your life. I firmly believe that. Just be empathetic, kind, keep politics to the side when something like that happens. The guy was how old? Paul
82.
Pelosi's how old? Yeah.
82.
You don't bring politics into an 82-year-old being attacked with a hammer. What an asshat. Jesus. All right.
I mean, at 82, you think, they say he's going to make a full recovery, and that's
right,
awesome.
Thank God.
But he is undergoing surgery on his head to relieve
Oh,
probably swelling and pressure because he
oh
was
my
smacked in the head with a hammer. And
oh
at
my
82, you don't
God.
bounce back very well,
No.
right? I mean, it takes longer to recover. So Paul Pelosi, it's not like he hurt, even though they say he's going to make a full recovery. He might have some therapy in front of him and such.
Oh my God. Look at this one. John Slade just wrote in the chat. I went to Fox News and they were saying they beat the wrong Pelosi with the hammer. The Fox News comment sections are full of hate and racism. That's
Pe-
an
People are ugly.
understatement.
People are
Oh
really
my
ugly.
God. Oh my God. All right. Ugh.
Yeah. Okay, so Tom Brady and Giselle Bundchen, they're not just
Yes.
getting divorced; they are divorced. Like that was
It's
fast.
official?
Yeah, yeah. In an
Shut up.
Instagram post, it's true. The NFL quarterback said it has officially been finalized after 13 years of marriage. So it must have been their proceedings. We knew they had gone to see a lawyer, or they were going to see
But that
lawyers.
seems really quick. They must have had a great prenup. Like they're not fighting over anything?
It was fast tracked, apparently. Yeah. So the divorce official, Brady said they arrived at the decision amicably. The
Oh,
couple, they
yeah.
say, will work together as parents to ensure their kids get the life they deserve. Yeah, I guess once you
Mm.
decide you're going for it, you're going for it in that family.
I just
I thought there
I
was a
am
waiting
so on Giselle's side.
period
I
and
am so on Giselle's side. But yeah, you would think after 13 years of marriage, but I'm telling you, there had to been some problems before he
yeah.
rescinded his retirement. It just seems really I can understand being upset, but walking away from 13 years of marriage, there has to be something else going on back there. I
Sometimes
don't
I
know.
think it underscores that you can look at people that are so beautiful and like look
Right.
like
You're
they have
right.
the perfect life. I mean, how many Super Bowls has that guy won? And she's gorgeous on the cover of magazines and they're beautiful and they have all this money and it's like, oh, just to live that life.
Yeah.
And then you look at maybe behind closed doors, it's not as great as you would think. And so here comes the divorce. And it just underscores, as I was saying, that not everything is as it seems. And people of all kinds of walks of life have some big problems.
Well, exactly. And I understand that even though you're pretty and you're rich and you seem like your life has everything going for it, that there's problems. But 13 years of marriage, just walking away from it with two young kids, and these are kids, not saying age matters. I'm sure adults, if their parents are getting divorced and they're an adult, it sucks. I get it. But they're at that, really needing mom and dad to work it out kind of age. And they're giving up. And it's sad. It's absolutely sad. Oh, Kim Schaefer says they probably filed long before it was announced they were separating. It's supposed to take a minimum of 6 months. So what happened 6 months ago? Right? I mean, maybe that was it. Oh, and then the Mark Thompson show is saying you don't blow up a marriage
Yeah.
because of an extra season of football. I agree, but I said this last time we were talking about it. It's not the season of football. It is the choice that Tom Brady made. Now, again, I think there's something else going on now because it obviously has been finalized, but it's not. It's on a national, international stage saying if the choice is between my family and football, even though I've made this promise, not only made it, actually like retired and then rescinded it. It is a slap in the face to the promise you made to your family. And that, my friends, I wouldn't be able to forgive.
I would love to see you and Mark talk about this. Mark is convinced it had nothing to do with him coming out of retirement, that something else is afoot. That
I
there's
agree that it's
something
something else, but I think that is huge that what he did. Again, it's not just the football, it's the choice that you made a promise. And it could be football, it could be anything else.
that he
But
put
you
something
made me
else
a
first.
promise.
Yeah, he
You
didn't
put
put her
something
first.
before me.
Mhm.
No, and not only that, you fulfilled the promise. You made me seem like I was your partner. And I'm just speaking for Giselle here. But you made a promise to me, you fulfilled it, and then you took it away because of you and your ego and what you wanted. Now, I'll halfway agree with Mark Thompson. There's something else going on. I just think so. I mean, I've been mad before. But to give up 13 years of marriage with two young kids, there has to be something else. But I think that is a major part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But Mark is pretty convinced something else is going on. I just sent him a link to the show if he wants to come on and debate with you over this whole
Chat
thing.
room. Mark is arguing with me in the chat room. No, football had no. You don't know that. I am maintaining that football had something to do with it. All of it, 100%. No, not necessarily. We agree more or less. I love you,
He's a
Mark. All right.
text in full. He's a text
I know,
in
right? He's
full.
like, shut up. Okay, there you
Oh,
go.
so funny. Okay, so President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are making a rare joint campaign appearance today to help Pennsylvania Democratic Senate candidate John Fetterman. Biden and Harris typically don't travel together because you know why, right? Because you can't
Oh,
travel
yeah.
together because
Yeah.
what I was
One
talking
goes the
about
other
with
one.
the whole royal
Succession.
family on the plane. I'm
Yeah, there you
saying?
go.
Yeah. And so, but they'll both be in Philadelphia today to help Fetterman after a rough outing in his debate on Tuesday night against Republicans Mehmet Oz. Fetterman is recovering from a stroke that he suffered in May. So we know he needs all the help he can get as far as campaigning and getting out there and getting the word out. The 118th edition of the World Series gets underway tonight when the Houston Astros host the Philadelphia Phillies in Game 1 in Houston. I haven't even been paying attention to the World Series. Have you?
I heard the World Series starts today, and I was like, oh, there's something I could not care less about.
Justin Verlander will get the start for the Astros, and Aaron Nola expected to be on the mound for the Phillies. So I don't know.
That means nothing to me. Sorry.
The Giants aren't in it. The A's aren't in it. I'm out.
Exactly. I was like, okay, there's something.
Senate Republican staffers producing a report laying out their argument. The most likely origin of the coronavirus pandemic was what they called a research-related incident in China. Again, this is the Senate Republicans putting out this report, citing lapses in safety at a Chinese laboratory and arguing that there are evidence gaps in published scientific research pointing to a natural origin of the virus from animals sold at market in the city of Wuhan. I don't know if this is more conspiracy or what's going on with that.
Yeah.
And we've been tracking daily as all the reports come out this week of how many billions of dollars the companies made. So we know that Chevron made, I think it was $9 billion. We had Shell yesterday, an extra $6 billion. Today, we know ExxonMobil shares are rising after the third quarter earnings report beat expectations. Of course it did. The old giant, ExxonMobil, reporting earnings of just under $19.7 billion last quarter.
I swear to God. I mean, come on, people. It's
$19.7 billion in one quarter. Exxon's revenue jumped from a little less than $74 billion a year ago to $112 billion this year.
Yeah, that's a lot. They're sitting really, really pretty and still raising them prices. So
from your pocket right into theirs. Okay, a federal court ruled a city in Washington state violated the Constitution of the United States by requiring baristas wearing bikinis and G-strings to cover up at work. The judgment overturned a dress code ordinance the Seattle area city of Everett, Washington, passed in 2017. It required all quick service facility workers to wear shorts and t-shirts that would cover their midriffs. The judge ruled the ordinance violates the U.S. Constitution's Equal Protection Clause and a clause in the Washington State Constitution that targets women's clothing and not men's clothing.
Ooh, good point. Good point.
So if you're going to cover up the ladies, you got to cover up the dudes. Can't just.
That's how it always should be. Exactly. And the whole nipple debate. I mean, I know we were talking about sad nipples yesterday. I don't know anybody out there that researched their sad nipple syndrome, but it's true. I mean, but we always know women's bodies are way more regulated than men's bodies.
And the news sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax to work for individuals and businesses alike. So if you need help with your taxes, and really, who doesn't, give Steve a call. It's 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can reach him on the web, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Woo! Thanks for joining us for hour 2 of the Nikki Medoro Show with Kim McAllister. And again, click that like button while we're thinking about it. It really helps the show. It helps promote us. Do every little thing you can. It costs nothing, but just a quick click and only one click. Don't click it twice like my mother did. She's like, I keep clicking it. That does
Don't
nothing.
click it more than once.
Don't click it more than once. Once is all it takes. Once every show, and I love you forever. The super chats are up. Kim McAllister is in charge of those. She'll throw them on up there, and we appreciate that. Go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com, and there will be a link to our Patreon, which is another way for you to help the show. A huge thank you to every single person that has donated to our Patreon. I am dreaming up ideas of things that I can give my Patreon subscribers in the very near future. But all this takes money. Takes a lot of time. And so I appreciate everybody that's been able to donate. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Mindy's going crazy with the hearts today. Look at that.
Ooh, Mindy, love. I had somebody that texted in earlier that was calling me out for my use of awesome. And I do use that word a lot because everything is awesome. And I just have that song.
Awesome.
Thank you. Everything is awesome.
Cool when you're part of a team.
See?
Yeah,
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. And I don't think YouTube's going to flag us for that at all. We are going to talk movies this hour after the bottom of the hour news with Tim Sika, who you always heard with Pat Thurston. We have not had an update from Pat yet on what she's doing. I've been hearing hints that maybe an announcement's going to be coming, but I have no idea. Kim, do you have any idea? I don't think we have any idea yet.
I think she's got some irons in the fire, but nothing that she's ready to announce yet. So
right.
I keep checking in. She's doing really well.
Good.
And she said when she has something to announce, she will be announcing it.
Okay, perfect. And so, and we are going to promote everybody from Station X on whatever they do. If you missed it, you can listen to any part of our YouTube show. That's the great thing about the YouTube show. And last hour, we had Chip Franklin on, and it was a great conversation. And so the old Station X workers, we're all one big happy family. And so we really try to support each other, and we'll continue to do that. On that note, tomorrow at 1:00, I will be doing a Twitter Spaces with Mark Thompson and with Chip Franklin. We're going to be on with WPKN's Bryce and Asia. They're going to be hosting it. They called us icons. It's a bit much, but we're going to be talking about, leaving Station X and what we have in the fire right now. And so that's going to be at 1:00 tomorrow. Check my Twitter page. I'll put the link on my Facebook page as well, and join us because it's going to be a great conversation. And again, that's at 1:00. Real quickly, I forgot to add this when we were talking about Prince Harry. And this actually came out about a little more than a week ago. And I'm sure that Kim McAllister is like, obviously, why would anybody want that piece of cake? But it was Princess Diana, who is much beloved, not like Camilla. But a piece of Charles and Diana's wedding cake sold at auction, but apparently for a lot less than people expected it to. So let's see. The box of uneaten slice of cake, which I'm looking at a picture, and I wish I could bring it up right now, but I can't. It looks really gross. So it came in a box embossed with the words Buckingham Palace, the date of the wedding. It was offered. I mean, guess how much it was offered for.
This is from the 80s, right? I remember being a little kid when they got married. So it was in the 80s, 70s or 80s? I think 80s.
I don't know.
Must have been like what, 84, 85?
81. You're really good.
Okay.
July 29th, 1981.
So that's an old piece of cake that I would hope that no one eats. But for just sentimentality's sake, I would say it would probably go for maybe 50 grand. No?
You're going to be shocked. It was being offered for between $224 and $336. It sold at auction for $190.
That's all?
That's all. But I'm gonna say this because this kind of ties into Tom and Giselle. Who wants a wedding cake of a failed marriage? I mean, I know it's like, history, but it's not as if their wedding really worked out. So yeah, $190. We could have bought that. I mean, I spent more at dinner sometimes, and you could have had a slice of Charles and Diana's cake. Now this is what's interesting. Maybe this had something to do with the price. In August of last year, a different slice from the same cake sold for $2,500. So I don't know why this one went for so little. Maybe it's just the first one took all the attention, and now they're like, "How many slices do you have back there?" But
I could disagree with Greg. Greg says very few things are awesome. The Milky Way is, the Grand Canyon is, your new granite countertops are not. Now, that is spoken like someone who has granite countertops, because if you had the green Formica countertop kitchen, you would say those granite countertops are awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever talk for a living, you develop what we call crutches, and you say words all the time and you work on it. But I'll work on it, Greg. But I do believe more things are awesome than not awesome. But I hear
agree.
what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I can say a lot of other words that people probably won't think are awesome. I do want to see some awesome pictures though. So send them in, because on Monday I want to see Halloween costume wins and fails. And also, and I know, I mean, our show's on at noon, so I don't know how early people get dressed up, but if you're going to try on your costume this weekend and you want to show it off, maybe your kids or your pets, send it in. And I'm going to do a little bit of a montage during the show on Monday for our Halloween show. So you can email and just email them to me, the Nikki Medoro show at gmail.com, and we'll show those off. Because have you been following the hilarity that is fake Spirit Halloween store costumes, Kim?
Yeah. Oh,
It
God,
is.
it's so good.
Oh, can we just go through some of them? Because
I'll even say awesome.
All right, so let's go through some of the, what's funny about these is it's the trademark. So the joke with Spirit is that they sell a costume and it has a weird name, but you know it's an actual person. Like Guy Fieri was one, and it's so that they don't have to pay any sort of fee to have it. Okay, but now it's just people are just making up their own. So let's go through a couple of these. This one is a fake Kanye costume. It's the one on the right. It's a garbage bag. There's the whole old hater DJ vinyl good, digital bad. That's really cute. Elon Musk has been in the news a lot, so there's a couple of those. Twitter troll, which is just a picture of Elon Musk. They also have one that's a campaign finance staffer, and it includes a sorry I couldn't take this call iPhone. This is one of my favorites though. Conservative guy scared of cities. And under the description, it says, I saw that thing on the news. Too many of those people there. Can't park my Ford Super Duty. And not scared, bro. Not scared. Unemployed. Just a hot chick in a skimpy dress. The tragic space couple. So they didn't want to pay the Star Wars royalties. But it's the characters from Star Wars, of course. A voter who votes against their own interests. It's kind of like a white looking Karen lady. Now there's a couple that have to deal, and these were ones that people thought were real and then we're criticizing him. Gay guy. It's just a guy with a rainbow flag over the shoulder. Yeah. And then there's this one. It's Little Nas X, and it's like gay person in a terrible outfit, which isn't nice. But
I don't think that outfit looks. I mean, why would you say that looks like a gay person? I mean, how would you know?
Well, because that's Little Nas X, and Little Nas X is gay.
Okay.
And so they're kind of calling out. I would say this is more calling out Little Nas X's wardrobe than anything else.
Right.
But they don't want to say Little Nas X, so they just say gay person in a terrible outfit. So that's not very nice. But this is a throwback to Willy Wonka, and it just cracked me up when I saw it. Freeloading piece of bleep. And it's Grandpa Joe. He was Grandpa Joe in Willy Wonka. It honestly was an awful character if you think about it. He slayed around all day until he got a piece of candy, and then he jumped up and all of a sudden had the energy to help his family. Includes pea-soaked pajamas included in all of that. So yeah, if you guys want to send me some of your Halloween costumes, wins, fails, what you're wearing this Halloween, the Nikki Medoro show at gmail.com, and we'll highlight as many as we can on Monday's show.
And the Cancun tourist, and it's Ted Cruz with a Hawaiian shirt and a hibiscus behind his ear.
That's
headed off
perfect.
to Mexico.
That's perfect. See, I don't know. I'm going to try to find something to wear on my head. Although I have headphones, so I don't know. You can't see too much of me, so I don't know. I don't know. Can you see my dog? Maybe I'll dress Nugget up.
I could see like the puff of his hair on the top there.
He's just napping. This is, my lazy coworker over here behind me. He's like quietly quitting over here behind me, just stretching out like he wouldn't. Again, movies are coming up. Now, Elon Musk has fired a lot of people. I was showing some pictures earlier. Oh, I think I got rid of them though. But of these people, unfortunately, who were Now, I can't imagine being laid off, right? I mean, obviously I can, but being laid off, and when I step out of the building, news cameras are there documenting me walking out with a box. It's a little bit of salt on the wound, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, there was all kinds of reporters outside of Twitter headquarters as people are walking out with their boxes.
Yep.
The CEO, security people, all kinds of people were let go, and we'll see what happens.
When
But a
we
lot of
left,
people,
I didn't have a box. Did you have a box? I didn't take a box from KGO, Station
I
X,
don't bring
rather.
an I didn't well, the thing is, and maybe they were prepping us for this, I had to clean out my desk
Oh, because
because
of the
we were doing the move and
renovation.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't really have anything anyway. And so, no, I didn't have a box. I had what I bring to work with me, and I just took all that crap back with me.
I
I
had
used
my
to have, like,
headphones,
pictures and all
my
kinds of stuff.
microphone cover, and that was it.
And that was
Off I
it. That's
went.
all. Bye. Thanks for, the more than a decade I've
22.
been here.
Thank you for 22 years of fun
Yeah.
times. Bye.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Well, the great resignation has been going on, as we've been talking about, for over a year now. So the thinking was, quit your job. The job market is so hot right now that you'll get more pay. And if you stay at the business that you're at, you're going to find that the newbies are making just as much money as you. Okay. So that's what we were hearing, the stories that we were hearing. There's an article on CNBC talking about how great resignation quitters, they got the big raises, but now they're worried they're going to be the first ones laid off. More than half of the people, 56%, who started a new, better paying role in the last year are worried about job security. Fears about getting let go are twice as high among those who partook in the great resignation as those who stayed put at the company and got a pay raise. That's 28%. And it's this whole idea of last one hired, first one fired.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anybody in the chat room? Are you participated either in the great resignation or decided to stay? Of course, we got laid off, but I always maintain I'm going down with the ship. I'm looking for a job, even if the job market's hot. I don't know. Oh, OCB. I'm going as an ex-Twitter employee. A man bun with flip-flops and shorts carrying a big cardboard box. Perfect. I might steal that idea. Do better, man. I had a box ready in my office for 2 years until I quit. Wow. Yeah, I've never and I
There's
don't
the
mean
box
this to
right
be
there. Could happen any day.
yeah.
Just keeping it ready.
I've never been laid off before. This was literally my first time ever being laid off. I've quit jobs before, and I was fired once, but it was a temp agency, so that's always a risk. But I've never been laid off before. And so no, I didn't have a box ready to go, unfortunately.
That's pretty
There are
lucky in radio to never have been laid off. I mean,
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you've been in radio long enough, most of the time you
yeah.
do. So, well, now I'm just creating my own job, Kim. That's what we're doing here.
You know who's the
So there
boss now? Nikki's the
Mm.
boss now. That's right.
Yeah, it comes with a lot more pressure, though. It was really a lot easier just driving into work, believe me. And it's interesting that you bring that up because my brother he just came out for my birthday, and it was great seeing him. But he has an international business degree. He has this whole business knowledge, and he's like, How much are you working each day?" And I'm like, I am totally working more now than I did then. Because obviously I do the show, and then I'm doing a bunch of other jobs that are part of the show that I didn't have to worry about before. And I've
Sure.
heard Mark talk about it too. Just between the technical aspects and for me booking and all those sorts of things, but I enjoy it. I do like the freedom, and I'm loving the different relationship that I have with listeners because of the choice they're making to not only be here every day, but also
Mhm.
support the show. And so
Yeah.
it means something different doing it this way than it did the other way. The other way was easier, hands down, so much easier. But I'm loving this way as well.
Mike
Because
has an interesting question. He says,
okay,
so being a business owner is harder than being an employee. I think there are different things that are hard about it, right? I mean,
right.
there are hard things about being an employee, but there are hard things about being a business owner too.
And it also matters the business. I mean, if I if I had a business where it was kind of self-run, it was just me, maybe my partner or whatever, and we had something where not that it was passive, but I set something up on the computer or something, and I was kind of collecting checks. That's not that difficult. This, I'm learning a lot while I'm doing the show. And that's the part that's harder for me. I hope it gets easier. I hope I kind of get into a groove. And we're 2 weeks officially today live on this YouTube channel. And I've already learned so much. And I feel like it's slowly not getting easier, but I've got a rhythm down and I kind of have a schedule. But life happens and there's things happening that have nothing to do with the show that also take time. And, that's something I have to deal with. But Mike asks, but is it harder for you right now being an entrepreneur than being an employee of KGO? Yes, it's harder to be an entrepreneur right now than being an employee of KGO. At KGO, the hardest part of my job was going into work at 4:00 in the morning. That was the hardest part.
It's harder because we're learning right now. But I think once we get everything, we kind of have a rhythm in what we're doing, then maybe it won't be.
Loving all these questions. Okay, you guys are here, so I'll answer it. If another radio station made you an offer, would you take it? It mattered what the offer was, but I don't think that there is an offer that I would take at this point. I like doing a talk show. And unfortunately, Station X, before it became Station X, it was the place that I wanted to work. The whole ability, and I don't know how to put this. It was a fun place to work. There was a lot of drama. It was fun to be able to go on, talk about the things that we cared about, crack open the phones, and do radio that way.
Yeah.
That radio doesn't exist. I mean, yes, there's NPR, there's KCBS, but KCBS is not KGO, right? I mean, KCBS is a news station, which we do news, but it's not this kind of format. It's not the same type of format. And KQED it's an illegal its own with public radio and being able to pull reporters and content from all around the country, if not the world. Totally different type of format. They're great, each in their own ways. They weren't Station X. Station X was a different type of format. People in radio understand what I'm talking about. As if they were going to give me an offer with the freedom and the flexibility that I need and I want, I don't know. I don't know what it would have to be good. That's all I'm saying. It'd have to be good.
I'll respond to Sung Chu and say that no, I don't believe either of us would, because KSFO is owned by the same company that just closed down KGO. They have all syndicated conservative shows. They don't do any local shows. We would not be what they were looking for. And so, no, we wouldn't work for that station.
No, they wouldn't hire me. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. And I know that some of you are probably thinking, well, why would KSFO not want to have different viewpoints? That's not what it is. You turn on Fox News, you're gonna hear a certain thing. You turned on KSFO, you heard a certain thing. It's just what it is. And I know that in the past, in recent years, they tried to bring Ron Owens over to KSFO, and that got nixed. Because it's not a platform in which you would imagine hearing Ron Owens. And you have to go where the people are that want to hear that kind of viewpoint. Right. And so, that's what it is. Oh, Nick, I love you. Thank you so much. Love your show. Listen every day. It's even better now. Thank you, Nick, for the $20 super chat feature. People like you are what makes doing this absolutely worth it. Absolutely. And I love it. And Judy's right. Almost all talk radio is conservative. Fox News TV, the channel news, number one, they complain like they're the victim, but they have it on lock. Liberal, progressive, even middle of the road talk. It's just not out there. And that's what I think I also miss most about Station X. Vilma, Station X format, very unique place in the Bay Area, may not be able to be replicated. Well, that's what we're trying to do. Mark's trying to do it. I'm trying to do it. I wear my politics straight out there, but I never shy away from people with opposing views. And you don't always hear that on conservative radio, if at all. All right. We are coming up on news. Stay with us, because something that we're bringing over from Station X is Tim Sika, who is always on with Pat Thurston talking about movies. I reached out to him, asked if he'd come on today to talk about what to see in the theaters, because it's something we love to do on Fridays. And this show is, it's about fun. It's about reminding you of what it was, good about our show before. And I just want to keep it all going. But right now, we do need to take a look at some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Of course, a mountain of questions being raised after the attack on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi. That, according to Bay Area political Larry Gersten, who says the reasoning behind the attack needs to be uncovered. He says if it was indeed politically motivated, that brings even more questions. Gersten saying the timing of the incident couldn't have been worse for the speaker. He cited that she had been on the road campaigning for candidates across the country as the midterm elections are right around the corner. The suspect in the attack of Paul Pelosi facing charges for multiple crimes, including attempted homicide. And of course, we know that Paul Pelosi is undergoing surgery and Nancy Pelosi is flying back to California to be with him. Wall Street is closing sharply higher to cap a positive week. The major index is surging about 2.5% after economic data pointed to slowing inflation. And as we mentioned, ExxonMobil more than doubling its third quarter profits from last year. The Texas-based company saying they took in almost $20 billion in the third quarter revenue this year. In a statement, Exxon CEO says the profits are the result of the hard work of who invested in and built businesses critical to meeting demand. At least 6 people are injured after being shot outside of a funeral in Pittsburgh. The police say it had happened outside of the Destiny of Faith Church in Pennsylvania this morning, a funeral underway at the time of the shooting. And Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk, says there will not be any account reinstatements to the social media site right away. Musk tweeted a content moderation council will be formed to evaluate the platform, and it will include diverse viewpoints. There's a painting from Andy Warhol that depicts a car crash. They say it could go for big money at an upcoming auction. Sotheby's is putting on White Disaster, White Car Crash 19 times up for sale. November 6th, it could sell for up to $80 million. Warhol did that painting in 1963. So we'll see what it looks like, what it goes for. Now, most states will turn the clocks back an hour on Sunday, November 6th, but daylight savings time is generating growing health concerns. Sleep disorders at the Mayo Clinic say the clocks turning them back and forth twice a year causes disruptions in the brain's circadian rhythms. Researchers at Harvard Medical School and Mass General Hospital have found in mice disrupted sleep caused an increase in heart disease.
Interesting. You heard that Mexico, right?
I said Mayo Clinic. It's Mayo Clinic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I knew
but
I said it wrong as it was coming out of my mouth and blah, 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 whatever.
Mexico actually approved a bill this week to eliminate daylight saving time. And apparently only some cities and towns along the border will retain daylight saving time. And that's because they're so close to U.S. cities that have it in place already. But I think it's the stupidest thing ever. And we should have gotten rid of it so long ago.
Yeah, I think it's time to let it go. Let it go. This report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, please give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can catch him on the web, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Perfect. Thank you, Kim McAllister. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to everybody that's been donating to our Patreon. Everybody that is going to click that thumbs up button. If you haven't done it, do it right now, please, because it really helps the show. As you are watching each and every day, just give a thumbs up. Let it be the habit, right? Click on the show at noon, right after Mark Thompson's show, and click that thumbs up. It helps us out. Go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. And if you have the means, please donate to our Patreon. All of the money goes directly into the show, and it really helps us out, as we were just talking about, leaving Station X and starting this new adventure on this YouTube channel. It's been a lot. It's been a ride, and it's only 2 weeks in, and we keep wanting to go up, 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 and that takes money. Got bills to pay, and so we really do appreciate everybody that has come on and donated to our Patreon and made it work for us. All right, it is Friday. And what we love to do at Station X on Fridays was to talk movies. And now Tim Sika was commonly the movie reviewer for Pat Thurston, and he has been so nice to come on the show with us. Tim, thank you so much for coming on the Nikki Medoro Show. It's great that you're here.
Hi, Nikki. It's been a while. Am I coming? Yeah, good. I'm coming across. Okay, good, good. I'm so in the prehistoric era with tech, but the next time you will actually see me. Hopefully, if I ever come on the show again, you'll see my face. Yeah,
you will.
Well,
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations on what you're doing. It's awesome. I just finally caught up with a couple of the shows, and they're fantastic.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad to have you on. And so we're going to talk about a bunch of movies that are either in the theaters or streaming. Now, some of these I have heard of, and some of them I have not. And so I want to start with this one first, and it's called Tar, and it's with Kate Blanchett. Tell us about, what is this movie even about? It's not. So I Googled Tar, and here's I have up on the screen the movie poster. So is she like a conductor? I see the stick in her hand. What is this?
Yeah. Well, first of all, this is the big studio prestige film release of the week. It's a critical darling, and I'm in agreement with my peers as to its astonishing artistic merit. It's about a female symphony conductor played by the amazing Kate Blanchett, and it's a kind of a character study whose focus is on this woman. And to simplify what it's about, because it's about a lot of things, it dramatizes the dichotomy in her personality of, one, being this brilliant interpreter of the world's greatest music, and then two, it sets that against her personality, her human flaws, so to speak. And that's all I really should say about the plot. But it's primarily an actor's showcase. Blanchett as the great conductor, Lydia Tarr of the title. She will be nominated across the board this year by SAG, by the CCA, by the Globes, by the Oscars, by BAFTA. Watch for her name as Best Actress. She's also probably going to win a lot of awards. But it's a very, very interesting movie. The script of Tar is rich. It's provocative. It was written and directed and produced by Todd Field. This is his first film as director in like 16 years. Previously, he wrote and directed a movie called Little Children. Have you ever seen that? And before that, In the Bedroom.
I've heard of both of those.
Yeah, well, he's a former actor. He's probably best known for playing Nick Nightingale in Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. But for classical music fans, Tar is a must-see. There's lots of great music in it. For fans of great acting, this is a must-see. It's one of the best films of the year. And I doubt it will be a commercial hit because...
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I don't want to put a pox on the movie, but it requires a certain amount of proactivity on the part of the viewer because it's different. It's hard to really put into words other than, what I've said, what it's about. But I loved it, and I can't wait to see it again. It worked on like two levels in the sense that you could enjoy it just for what it's dramatizing on the surface, or you could read all kinds of things into it. But it was my cup of tea. And as a study, Nikki, of a female artist in a world dominated by men, it's really fascinating, really fascinating.
Well, the next movie I want to talk about has been getting a lot of buzz, and that is the movie Till, based on the true story of Emmett Till. Have you seen this? Is this out this weekend?
Yeah, well, it opens today, actually. Okay. And it's a drama. This next movie, it's an intense historical one, and it's based, as you mentioned, it's based on the true story of Mamie Till Mobley and her pursuit of justice for her son Emmett Lewis Till, who was tortured, murdered, and then lynched in Mississippi in 1955 at the age of 14. And what's particularly powerful about this movie, Nikki, is that the entire drama is acted and written and filmed from the perspective of Emmett Till's mother, Mamie Till Mobley. And, my God, what can I say? I mean, this is a painful look at one of the most shameful chapters in American history. But as such, it's another must-see movie. It's gut-wrenching. It's beautifully filmed in these brilliant Technicolor hues, deliberately to contrast, I think, the horribleness of what occurs in the story. And it's anchored by one of the most emotionally raw performances ever committed to film. An actress named Danielle Deadwyler, whom I'm unfamiliar with her work. She portrays Mamie Till Mobley, Emmett's mother, and if nothing else, the movie should be seen for her performance alone. It's truly monumental. And again, by the end of the award season, Danielle Deadweiler is going to become a household name, such as the brilliance of her acting. And personally, I'm glad this movie was made and that this movie is being released now, because if folks are unfamiliar with the story, they need to know this story. And
Yes,
for folks
absolutely.
who know this story, to be reminded of it, especially in this racially sensitive climate that we're all living in, it's a very good thing indeed to be reminded of this. The murder and mutilation of Emmett Till in Mississippi was like 67 years ago, and yet the number of look at the news. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery,
Absolutely.
Trayvon
And
Martin. Yeah.
I love that you mentioned how long ago it was, because it wasn't that long ago. It is literally in our lifetimes, for many of
Yeah.
us listening right now. And the woman, that made the claims against Emmett Till still alive. You know what I'm saying? So it's not as if it's something that is so long ago that's not in our recent history. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see that. Is this only in theaters? Do you
Yes,
know?
right now it is exclusively in theaters, but it's playing at several of them, so people will have a chance to.
Okay,
It should be playing in their neighborhood, in their Bay
Excellent.
Area neighborhood. Yeah, it's really it's again another awards worthy movie. You're going to be hearing a lot about this film. Yeah.
You'll recognize his voice. He is Tim Sika, celluloiddreams.com. This next one, we do see a lot of these types of movies. I just finished watching Elvis, all of these kind of biopics about people. And now there's one about the return of Tanya Tucker. Now, is this like a documentary? What is
Yeah.
this film?
Yeah, it's another documentary. And Nikki, I still sometimes sense from people when I say quote unquote documentary, I get that eat your peas vibe from them, like a doc is something they
Right.
need to see because it's good for them. But documentaries are better than ever. I mean, they're more entertaining and creative than ever before. I mean, just look at all these documentaries on Netflix and on Amazon Prime. I mean, these miniseries and stuff. But anyway, the proliferation of them attests to that. Anyway, The Return of Tanya Tucker. It's a documentary about country music legend Tanya Tucker, her life, her first recording session in 17 years. She's in her 60s now. This album tour, and her friendship with country singing star Brandi Carlile. So it's kind of four movies in one. And full disclosure here, I'm not the biggest country western music lover in the United States, but this movie is so good, it makes me think that maybe I'm missing something here. I mean, there's some songs in this film, one in particular that Tucker wrote, and I think she won the Grammy for, in collaboration with Loretta Lynn. It was called Bring My Flowers Now. It's on YouTube, folks. I mean, check it out. But the song alone made me want to dig deeper into country music. It's weird, but it did. And so, yeah, absolutely fabulous portrait of this extremely colorful woman. I knew very little about her life.
Yeah, I don't know anything about her life. So
she was a teen country western music megastar. At the age of 13, she recorded, I'm sure you've heard this song, Delta Dawn. Delta Dawn, that song.
I don't, but
okay. Well,
maybe
anyway.
other people do. Sorry, I'm not. Honestly, I just don't really know a lot about her or her music.
Yeah, well, that song catapulted her to superstardom at the age of 13, and she had this controversial love affair with Glenn Campbell, who was like 20 years her senior. Wow. She battled drug addiction. Fascinating stuff. I mean, this woman is a survivor, and it's all here in this movie. It's called The Return of Tanya Tucker, and it opens today in San Francisco at the AMC Kabuki 8 and the AMC Metron 15 and IMAX. This is one of those movies that seeing it in IMAX will only heighten its effect because there's so much good music in it.
That is so awesome. All right, the final one is another documentary. It kind of sounds like if I heard the name before I throw it up there, I'd be like, this might be a little kinky. I don't even know.
Oh,
but
you're right.
Called...
It's called Cat Daddies. You're
Cat
right.
Daddies.
Now, see, you know what? I didn't even think of the kinky thing, but
I always do, Tim. Don't worry about it. I'll do it. It's fine.
Well, this was some of the most fun I've had at the movies all year. It's called Cat Daddies. It's obvious. Well, I was going to say it's obvious what it's about, right? It's about men who love their cats. So among other things, it's a sort of a clarion call for all men who love cats to come out of the closet. I mean, this movie is also going to smash the conventional notion that there are only cat ladies, because there are also cat daddies all across America, as this movie very amusingly and affectionately and movingly shows. It's a portrait of 8 guys, 8 men whose love for cats has changed their lives, from this internet celebrity to occupational therapy. And in the case of this disabled homeless man in Brooklyn, New York, a reason for hope. So I don't know if you have cats. Do you have cats, Nikki?
I am a dog person, Tim Sika. I apologize. I
That's
am.
okay.
I have a bunch of feral cats that love to call my house their home, but they stay outside. But no, I don't.
Oh, well, that's
Tim,
good. But how high is that? Is that
It's
Kim?
Kim. That is
it's
Kim.
Tim.
Hi,
Yeah,
Kim
Tim.
McAllister.
Hi. I wonder
Hi.
if you said cat daddies have to come out of the closet. Is there a thing with if you're a man, in fact, that you or something?
No, well, there's a thing in here where a lot of the guys that they talk about and whose cats they kind of focus on say, they kind of admit, like, people think maybe if you're a guy, you're maybe a little weird because you
like cats.
like cats, and cats are usually associated with cat ladies, the cat lady. In fact, my students,
Crazy cat lady,
crazy
right?
cat lady. I remember my students, when I'd show them a picture or two of my cats, because I have 2, they would say, "Oh, Tim, please don't become like a cat lady when you get old." And it's like, well, what does that mean? But in honor of cat daddies, for the first time in public, I'm coming out as a cat daddy myself, because I love cats. I have always loved cats. I have 2. I have Maggie and I have Hermes. And the names are not as colorful as the ones featured in this movie. There's Flame and Keys and Tora and Toodles and Zulu and Pickles. I mean, I got to tell you, I'll tell you why I love cats.
Okay, go.
They teach us 2 very important spiritual principles. One, unconditional love, because, they and being fully present in the moment. Cats are masters at those things. And to the former, someone in the movie said that they're the only species that's trained us to cater to them without even the expectation of returning affection. They teach us patience too, which is a whole other thing. But anyway, Cat Daddies, it plays today at the Roxy Theater in San Francisco and one of the landmark theaters in Berkeley. God, I can't remember which one, where the Cat Daddies and their cats will be on display. So you can meet these cats and the Cat Daddies and talk to them. It's really cool.
It gets an 80% on. It gets 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
yeah, it's great. It's terrific. It's really
obviously
fun.
it's hitting, I think, the soft spot for a lot of people. I will just end on this note about cats. I will say you're right about cats kind of training humans, because any cat that people are like, yeah, it's okay for you to go to the bathroom in the house and I'll just scoop it up for you, is kind of an amazing creature in my book. Absolutely. Well, Tim Sika, celluloiddreams.com. It's .com, right? Do I have the website right?
Actually, it's .net, but that's
.net.
okay because
I was so close.
Okay. No, that's okay because it's under construction anyway. So
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
know Tim Sika. Tim, you're always welcome back on the show. I really appreciate it, and it's great hearing your voice. Thank you so
Nikki,
much.
Thanks so much. It was a blast. I really
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye. Yeah. So Tim Sika
Tim.
there. Cat daddies. I kind of feel like it is kinky though. Like, do you just call it that in your bedroom? Do you have cats? You don't have cats. Only a dog, right?
No, my husband's allergic to cats. So my kids wanted, we couldn't get a cat. So we have a dog, Charlotte, the golden retriever.
Right. Yeah. A lot of cat people in the live chat right now. Again, click that thumbs up button if you can. Karen Cooper, so many cats need homes. Adopt. Yes. Oh, and then Andrea agrees. I have 3 rescues, 16 years, 8 years, and 4 years.
16 years. That's a long time for a cat, isn't it? How long do they live? I don't know.
I wonder if it matters on the breed of cats. And then someone was bringing up that John Daly, fabulous producer John Daly, and Mark Thompson are both cat daddies. So maybe they'll go and have a big old, field trip to the movie theater. But I was reading on Rotten Tomatoes, it said, oh, wait, where was it? It was really great because you know how some people are like, I'm not a cat person, I'm a dog person. And they were basically saying, even if you like dogs, you're really going to like, here it is, sweet but not saccharine. Even those who prefer canines should find it a charming, sometimes touching survey of 9 men and their cats.
So here's the thing about Tim Sika. Ever since I've been paying attention to him when he was on Station X, it usually follows that if he likes it, I'm going to like it. It's always that
Oh,
way.
really?
He's good for me as far as a movie reviewer, because I think, I don't know, he's more cerebral about what he thinks about movies and is better able
Okay.
to explain why it's good. But I just tend to go with it. Like, if Tim tells me you got to watch this one,
You're gonna watch it.
he's right on the money. Yeah.
That's interesting. Now, he made me interested in that Tar movie. That's the symphony one with Kate Blanchett. Because when I was looking at it, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch that. But he was saying that it's really an interesting, if you just take it at face value and even go deeper into it. Just
Mhm.
he didn't want to give too much about the movie, but that's another one. So let me list again the movies: Tar with Kate Blanchett. Till, the story of Emmett Till as seen through the eyes of his mother. The Return of Tanya Tucker, of course, the country western star documentary, and Cat Daddies. Those were the picks by our own Tim Sika. Cats in your lap because it's comfortable. Dogs sit in your lap because he's your friend. Aw, that's from Greg. Yeah, I feel like there's such a divide between cat and dog people, right? And it doesn't have to be that way. I don't know. I'm sure there's households that have both. I know friends that have both cats and dogs. I have one dog. That's all I can handle. Wow, Yvonne, our cat lived to 22 years, an indoor cat.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a long, long time. That's absolutely. So yeah, we'll try to do movies every Friday. Tim Sika is always welcome on the show to do it. Nick, we just adopted a black kitten 2 weeks ago. Good, because we just talked yesterday, right, about the superstition surrounding black cats. It was National Black Cat Day yesterday, I think, or the day
Yeah.
before, and it's to raise awareness because people have such a prejudice against black cats because of the superstition that surrounds it. Yeah, I wish we could send in dog and cat photos. Send in whatever you want, Al
Send in the
Anonymous.
pictures. Yeah, absolutely. I'll throw as my picture and we'll just put it up there for a while.
Yep. CJ says she was the runt and my roommate's cat, and she was like, "Nope, you're my person." Oh, I swear,
No.
ever since I got a dog, I was just in traffic taking my kids to school this morning, and there was a car next to me, and this dog, the head, a Great Dane, I mean, gigantic head. It's just has his head, like looking everyone up, and so much expression in this dog's face. My heart is melted for the darn animals. I swear to God. Okay, so that's our show. Everyone have a fabulous weekend. I do want to remind everybody that I want to highlight the Halloween costumes, the wins, the fails. They could be from when you were a kid. They could be your kids. They could be a coworker with permission, of course. You have the picture. Any Halloween costumes that you want to share, we would love to highlight them on the show. So send them in to me. My email is the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. Very simple to remember. Also, coming up on Monday's show, we'll be talking about the job market. We'll be speaking with someone from Business Insider and talking about how there's labor hoarding going on. And there's also a bunch of layoffs happening. And so George Pesky will be joining us talking about what he predicts will be a pretty brutal U-turn in the job market. So that's going to come up in the first hour. In the second hour, because it is Halloween, I'm going to be joined by a Washington Post columnist, Richard Sema. And we'll be talking about why haunted houses and horror movies make us happy. It makes me happy. I love when there is a new scary movie out. I can't wait to see it. I might have to have like a niche movie reviewer occasionally to just talk about all the scary movies or scary shows. There's a Guillermo del Toro series on Netflix right now, Something Curiosities, that I have on my list that I really want to watch, and it's been at the top of my kind of scary, suspenseful watch list for quite a while. So if anyone out there kind of follows people that do those sorts of things, we'll bring them on as well, because I love talking about all different types of niche things. So that is our Monday show. Again, before we end the show, if you guys can click that thumbs up button and go to our website, the Nikki Medoro Show at Gmail. That's my website, the NikkiMedoroShow.com. There's the Patreon. There's the links to the YouTube shows that you can share with all of your friends. Oh, thank you. Cabinet of Curiosities. Thank you, Elise. That's the name of the show, of the series on Netflix by Guillermo del Toro. It's supposed to be really good. It's supposed to be extremely good. Anyone has any other recommendations, I'll always highlight those on the show. Again, thank you to everyone that's been donating in the live chat, the super chat, and on the Patreon. And we will be here on Monday afternoon starting at 12. And before we go, of course, we need to say goodbye to Kim McAllister and to all of you. Have a fabulous weekend.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful person. You're all so the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.